Are you sick and tired of attracting toxic relationships? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss 3 reasons, astrologically speaking, why you may be attracting toxic relationships. There are many reasons as to why we may be attracting toxic relationships. But in this video, I'm just gonna discuss a few, and if you want to know more about this topic, let me know. If you are new to this channel, my name is Gina from Her Cosmic Crown. I have a background in psychology and I am a Vedic astrologer. If you want to know what a toxic relationship is, there are so many videos on that already. You can look them up. So there's one planet in our chart that we really want to pay attention to, and that is our moon. And this is especially if you are a woman or if you have more of the feminine energy. So we really want to look at the moon for everyone. The moon has to do with our emotions. It has to do with our feelings. It has to do with what we are comfortable with, because it's connected to our mother. So we can look at someone's moon and find out what was happening to a person when they were a baby, because the moon has to do with how we were nurtured, how we were getting our needs met. So if a person's not used to getting their needs met in a healthy way, that is not necessarily conducive to relationships. That can come out in a negative way in relationships. There can be manipulation. There could be a person may not be sharing their true emotions and things like that. So we really want to pay attention to the moon in our charts. It's also our mind. It's our conditioned consciousness, and it's where a person's mind goes and how they feel comfortable. So when we do compatibility readings, we really examine their moon, because that's their unconscious mind. It represents their likes and their dislikes and things like that. So the moon is so important. I can go on and on about why. I have some other videos on the moon if you're interested in learning about the moon. One of the reasons why you may be attracting so-called toxic relationships is because there could be something within you that you're trying to work out through these other people. So people can come to us in different forms. It could be a whole new person, but if we haven't worked out certain issues in our lives, if we haven't worked out daddy issues, mommy issues, that person is going to show up in our lives. It's gonna look like a whole different person, sound like a whole different person, but that person is going to trigger something within us, and they are kind of brought into our lives so that we can heal, basically. You could be a magnet for other people whose moons don't align with your moons, okay? There's just something that is amiss with their moons and yours, and it could just be a lot of people, and that's because there's still something that you're trying to work through. And hopefully once you heal and work through certain issues in your life, you'll be able to attract people who are compatible with your healed version. And that is the point of astrology, is to work through our issues, a lot of our subconscious issues, and the subconscious realm, which is Rahu and Ketu, the north node and the south node of the moon. So the moon is our consciousness, and then the nodes of the moon, Rahu and Ketu, those are our subconscious realms. So going to an astrologer, you can learn more about not only the conscious things that you know about, but this unconscious stuff, these unconscious habits, and kind of change your habits so that you're walking a path that is more correct and more aligned with who you are, and then that way you can attract more of the good things in life. I did a whole video already on compatibility and looking at the moons, looking at compatible moon signs, so you can check that out if you want. But yeah, I would say that is one reason possibly why you are attracting people who just unhealthy relationships. And that could just be because there's something within you that you are working out, that you're learning, that you are healing. And until you heal that part of you, you're going to attract those kind of partners. So just ask yourself, what are some themes that I saw in my past relationships? What do those themes tell me about myself? And kind of dig into that. You can even journal about it, and that can help you learn more. And then also on a more spiritual level, it could be not only working out lessons in terms of your relationships with your parents or any childhood trauma, but it can also be ancestral. Sometimes there's things that we are not aware of that our ancestors did, and there's just this kind of ancestral tie, this ancestral bond, and for some reason we are having to work through that ancestral thing. There is this amazing book, I did a book review on it already. It's called It Didn't Start With You. And it's an amazing book. It talks about how we are connected to our ancestors, and once we figure out what's preventing us from having healthy relationships, from having healthy relationships with our coworkers, or even even money, you know. Once we dig into our ancestral history, we can understand more about what we're going through, because there's often parallels with some family member. And then also if you believe in past lives, there could be past life karma that we are needing to fulfill. So and that's harder to know, but with astrology we can look at some of the past life stuff, especially when we look at Ketu. Ketu has to do with our past lives. The second reason is because you could have your moon in the same sign as Saturn. It doesn't matter what sign the moon and Saturn are in, but if they are both together in the same sign, it doesn't matter how many degrees apart, then that can show that there is a lot of emotional pain happening in your life, and a lot of emotional triggers and stressors. So when a person has this in their chart, a person's not used to they're not used to acknowledging their first emotions. They're not used to being honest with themselves or others about how they really feel. There's a limitation in terms of this, and a person can feel very emotionally vulnerable, and because of this they could put a guard up, or this kind of invisible wall up, and that is there so that they don't get hurt, which is completely understandable. At the same time, that wall that was put there in the first place was there during the trauma and traumatic events. But when a person's no longer in that traumatic state or in that traumatic event, that becomes not something that is helpful, but something that is not helpful, something that is blocking a person from having things flow into their lives, having good things flow into their lives, and happiness, because the moon represents happiness as well. So when the moon and Saturn are together, a lot of things can happen. A person can feel a lot of heavy emotions. Some people with this can experience depression. So it's important that a person, is journaling, accepting their emotions, really working through their emotions, seeing a therapist, some kind of professional help can be really helpful when a person has the moon and Saturn together. It's a good practice to find out what that true emotion is and express it. If you cry and you have a genuinely healthy partner, or a partner who genuinely loves you, they're most likely gonna hug you. They're gonna wanna say like, how can I not make you feel sad anymore? The third thing that I'm gonna talk about is Venus. So Venus is the planet of relationships. So Venus has to do with win-win situations, one person benefiting from a relationship, the other person benefiting from the relationship as well. And it's basically both parties bringing something to the table. Venus has to do with our self-worth and knowing the value of something, knowing if something is worth it or not. Should I even stay in this relationship? Is this relationship worth staying in? And Venus is all about the good things in life, how we can benefit from the world, how we can have nourishing food, enjoying nature. That's Venus as well. When Venus and Saturn are both in the same sign, it doesn't matter what sign Venus and Saturn are in, as long as they are together in the same sign, this can indicate that there can be a strain or delays when it comes to relationships. So, and it often represents hardships when it comes to relationships. Saturn is the planet of pain, of loss, limitations. You know, it's that difficult planet. And Venus is such a lovely, nice, pleasant planet, and when they come together, it's difficult. Now, the good thing is that they're mutual friends, okay? So they are mutual friends. That does help a bit. So, you know, at best, this can just indicate that there are a lot of hard lessons that a person has to learn when it comes to relationships, and that they'll eventually have a healthy relationship. It can also indicate there's some karmic lessons, karmic ties that a person has that they have to fulfill before they have a solid relationship. A person with this, it can take them a while before they learn their self-worth. It takes them a while to learn like, hey, this is what I have to bring to the table, and I am looking for someone else to bring X, Y, and Z to the table because I don't have enough of it, or, you know, this is what I'm looking for in another person. So it takes a person a while when they have Venus and Saturn to understand what it is that they offer and what, you know, another person can offer them in a relationship. They can end up having a relationship that's not balanced. They can end up having the short end of a stick. They can put so much into a relationship, they can invest so much, and then the person gives them nothing in return, or very little in return, and that makes it difficult, and it can cause a lot of pain. And this is a painful thing because it makes a person question their self-worth. They could say, what's wrong with me? How come I'm, you know, I feel like I'm a good person, but I'm not attracting the right people into my life. If you have this in your chart, it's imperative that you learn what your self-worth is. You can take yourself on dinner dates. You can stop allowing people into your life, certain people, you know, you can say, I'm better than this. And it's not that you're better than that person, you're just not accepting that behavior anymore from people. If you have this in your chart, it's important to practice boundary setting because it may be hard for you to set boundaries with other people, and it's a good practice to start doing that when you have this. You could say, for example, I am worthy and my time is very valuable to me, so you know, please let me know if you're late. And this isn't just with romantic partners, this can be with friends or anyone else who could be showing up late constantly, and that's wasting your time, right? So you can put up boundaries with them. Or let's say it is a romantic partner who's constantly drinking and embarrassing you. One thing you can say is, hey, I feel really disrespected when you drink and when you're flirting with other people, and you know, I will no longer tolerate this behavior. So stop drinking or else I'm going to leave. Okay? So these are some examples of boundary setting that is really important for a person with their, Venus and Saturn together. And, doing some kind of drastic change like this can really help heal relationships for a person with their Venus and Saturn in the same sign. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you like this video or you want to hear some more videos like this. And I specialize in psychological astrology. Let me know what kind of topics you would like to hear next. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.